All right, we're going to complete 7.4 today. I'm going to finish up day 2 with the change of base. Now, this is a really, really important formula that we're going to have to use, because when we are trying to compare two things that don't have the same base, we can use this formula. So what you see here is if log base c of u and you want to find the answer to that, remember that your calculator is in base 10. So what you can do is in your calculator, you notice here there's no numbers here. If I'm putting my little dots here, look at here, there's no numbers, there's no bases. That's actually base 10. So those are base 10. So if we go in and take the log of u divided by the log of c, then you have what they call the change of base. So we jump right here and it says use a change of base formula to evaluate. This is actually really easy to do. As long as you follow this little formula, we're going to take the log of 14 and we're going to divide it by the log of 6. Okay? And in your calculator, that's exactly what you're going to type. The log of 14, and then don't forget to close your parenthesis or arrow out, divided by the log of 6. We press enter, we get 1.47, and that's our answer. Now, what that means is that, I'll write it in green just because that 6 to the 1.47 is 14. That's what that means. 6 to the 1.47 is going to be like 13.99 because I rounded. Okay, because there's a round there, but that's what it means. All right, so that's when we're trying to solve, when you're trying to figure this out, when you're trying to wonder 6 to the what is 14, then you can use change of base to figure it out. Now this says log base 2 of 5/3, so what you're going to do is you're going to take the log of 5/3, and yeah, you're going to have to probably use parentheses, but that's all right, divided by the log of 2. Okay, I kind of ran out of room. I'll put the equals down here in blue, but let's go to our calculator and do that. So that's the log of 5/3. I'm going to arrow over out, divided by the log of 2, and you get 0.74. 0.74. So 0.74. There's your answer there. Your answer here. Okay? So, so again, you're only really using this property when the directions tell you to. Don't use this when it says not to. Just don't use this when it says to evaluate or something. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. All right, so we're going to go back to using the properties of log to evaluate each function. So when we do this, notice the minus sign and notice that they have the same base. So log base 5, and remember minus means divide, so that's 125 divided by 25. I'll put this in parentheses to show you that I'm actually going to simplify this. So that means I'm going to get the log base 5 of, and 125 divided by 25 is 5. And if you remember in green here, that 5 to the what equals 5, and we now know it's 1. There's your evaluation using your properties that we learned last time. Here's another one. Again, there's a plus sign and the bases are the same. So that's log of 9, right? So this is actually 3 squared, which is actually 9. So we get 9 times 9. Sorry, I forgot my log base 3, right? So this is log base 3 of 81, all right? And you evaluate this, again, in green, that's asking you 3 to the what is 81. Well, we talked last time of how you can figure it out. You can go in and type 3 to the squared, 3 to the third, or 3 to the fourth is 81. All right, so hopefully this is something that you're getting a little used to. I know it's advanced, but it is a pretty cool way to find exponents. All right, let's condense, which means that my answer at the very end of this will have 1 log base 3 at the end. So let's see what happens here. This plus means that we're going to times these two. And if you remember that 1/5 in the front is an exponent, also meaning a radical. So I'm going to write this out as log base 3 to the x to the 1/5 plus, that's a fifth, guys. I'm sorry about that 5 there. Those are really hard to do with the marker. That's a 5. Okay. And then log base 3 of y to the 1/5, and then we have minus log base 3 of z. These are here are being multiplied and they're being rooted, so it's fifth root. So it's fifth root of x times y and then this is going to be divided by z. So log base 3 of this entire thing. There's your answer here. All right. So again, the plus was the times, the minus is the divide, and that's why we got that fraction. The 1/5 is, again, the root. So x to the 1/5 is the fifth root. Okay. All right. This is the last one for the day. Remember that if we're expanding this, that this cubed means 1/3. So that's 1/3 log of A plus 1/3 log of B. And then this is minus, right? It's underneath, minus. So I'm going to put these in parentheses to show that it's at the top. And then I'm going to put this other one in parentheses, even though, you know, this is just formality. It just makes it look better, that you can see that this is the top and then this is going to be the bottom. So this is 4 log C plus log D. Ran out of room there. There is another way to write it, and let's see if I can real quick in just 1 second. I'm going to add a blank screen here just to show you another way to write it if you felt like you wanted to. So I'm going to insert a new slide. I'm just going to go right to this. All right, so the other way you could write it, if you're curious here, so if you didn't want to use the parentheses, what you would have to do is distribute that minus sign to both the C and the D. So as I showed you just a slide ago, this is the same thing as right there in red. And then what you're going to do is you'd say minus 4 log of C and then minus log of D. You could do this too, and this shows that you're dividing by both things here. So you don't want to use parentheses, fine, but you have to put minuses on both the bottom, the denominator terms that are in the bottom here. So I'm pointing, but you can't see me point. Right here, both have to have minus if you don't use parentheses. And that's okay too, either way, it doesn't matter. How you're going to do that. Okay, so that's change of base. We are going to use that a ton later, and that will do it for today's lesson. Let me know if you have any questions.